there's a short life in
Why do you
acting
think
world.
that is? What the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space.
Yeah.
And so eventually you're going to go too far,
Yeah, well, that's a big issue in content creation too. Taking drugs in order to do your job, in order to continue to compete, especially because people's attention spans are a little bit more fleeting now. And if you're not consistently pushing out content, people will literally forget about you. So a lot of those people, especially on the upper echelons and the highest levels of competition and content creation, they're taking drugs, especially like Adderall, in order to continue to compete. Think about the amount of energy it takes to live stream for 5 hours straight and to maintain a certain level of energy that keeps people engaged. So a lot of those guys are doing drugs. A lot of them are taking drugs in order to compete like that.
Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what Heath had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it.
Yeah.
And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it. A man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things. When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing.
Yeah, oftentimes what people forget is that being a human is more about the intangible things, integrity, discipline, honor. Being human is more about the intangible things. And when you sacrifice your integrity or some of those intangible ideas of your morality in order to get more material things, you become less of a person and more of a product. And then how can you look at yourself in the mirror when you're a product? Like you have to think about the things you did in order to get to where you are. Like I used to have conversations with people about certain rappers and the things that they promote, and I used to be against it. I don't think that it's good. And then people would say, he got money though, as if that's a replacement or as if your money is equivalent to your morals. Being a good person isn't about how much money you obtain. It's about how you carry yourself with integrity and a certain level of morality throughout your life. And once you give up those things in order to chase money, you become a product. You become a soulless product, and people won't respect you. It doesn't matter how much money you get.
Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire.
And more importantly, you won't respect yourself. More importantly, it's not about other people respecting you. It's about the respect that you have for yourself.
You should have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head.
Yeah.
They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in.
Yeah, when he's talking about the self-conscious aspect of it, that's a huge part of it. Like, there are a lot of people who do things that are shameful, and they want us to take away shame from society, but oftentimes people aren't outwardly shaming you for doing the things you're doing. What you're feeling is a sense of guilt, which is an inward shame, and it's a self-reflection of your self-conscious telling you that you're doing something wrong. And what's interesting is, even if you may have done something right, you can feel this sense of guilt. Like for people who come from war, it might have been necessary for them to kill the person that they had to kill, but oftentimes they end up on drugs and having to deal with themselves mentally, and they have a hard time doing so because now you have to look at the mirror and see yourself as a murderer. And even if it was necessary for you to survive, you still have to accept the fact that now you're a murderer. So imagine if you end up trading something intangible like that, a piece of yourself, for something like money, or for something like a Ferrari, or for an acting role, or to make more money. Imagine how you have to deal with yourself after trading in, like he said, your man card for something like money. People have to do it necessarily in order to survive, and they still feel a strong sense of guilt. So imagine if you did it for something like a Ferrari. Of course, you're going to have a hard time dealing with that, and to help yourself deal with it, you're going to take drugs, and you're going to surround yourself around other people who are also taking drugs that are just going to encourage you to go down that spiral. It happens all the time. You see it in Hollywood all the time. It's sad.
Matter what.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there, and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music, and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth.
Yeah.
Knock their head off.
Yeah.
For talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman.
Yeah, you're absolutely insane. And you will get mocked and made. This is why people were making fun of Terry Crews when he was in the situation he was in, when he let some small exec in Hollywood grab his balls in front of his wife. That's why he was being made fun of. Because what opportunity can this man present to you that makes you allow him to grab your nuts in front of your wife in public, and you do nothing about it as a 6'4" man like Terry Crews? Man, if that was me, I don't care about what opportunity he got. He can put it in the place where the sun don't shine, and I'm flipping him on top of his head. He gonna be doing snow angels. He gonna be making snow angels on the concrete. Ain't no way I'm gonna let some man take that away from me because they can present to me an opportunity. And if you do, you're going to have a hard time looking in the mirror. And oftentimes, especially when you're dealing with this Me Too stuff, you're dealing with men and you're dealing with women that were willing to put up with certain things because they thought that it would present to them an opportunity. And then when they don't get the opportunity they thought that they were going to get, they still have to deal with the fact that they traded a piece of themselves in order to get that opportunity, and it never came. And so they get resentful, and then they start jumping on the Me Too movement bandwagon, but really you was down for it. You went up to that exec's room at 3 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. and you thought you was going to be playing chess? You knew what was up, but because you didn't get the result that you wanted, and you got to deal with the fact that you gave away a piece of your body or a piece of your manhood in order to get there, that's a big burden to carry. I'm trying to tell you. That's a big burden to carry, and I don't care what position I am in life. I'm not going to ever let no man treat me like I'm less than a man, like I'm a product or a piece of meat over an opportunity. That's insane. There's just parts of yourself that should not be for sale. And your integrity, your morality, your character, those are things that can't be for sale. Or you're not a person. You're a product.
Now, when you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction.
Absolutely.
It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing. And have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. Mm-hmm. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast. This is absolute. But listen, we've talked about it. We've had a lot of the guys on to talk about this stuff. Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still You know, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do, and that's why I have all the patents. Whether they evaluate it or not, that's up to them. But I've done the work and finished it. Now I can go on and do whatever else we need to do.
No, what he's saying is facts. And one thing that's interesting about it is if you're a person with integrity, people who don't have integrity hate to have you around because you're a buzzkill. When you're a person with integrity, like a person that may be in Hollywood that's not willing to sell themselves, when you're dealing with other people who are willing to sell themselves to get in the positions that they're in, you are a reflection of everything they hate because they can't be that anymore. They sold that part of themselves, so they don't want to see you. And that's why when people have integrity and they go into Hollywood, they say they weren't able to make it as far as they maybe have wanted to, because they're the buzzkill in the room. They're the one that's not down to do whatever in order to get to wherever they need to be. And people don't want to deal with it. They want to surround themselves around people who are also making the decisions that they're making so they can feel like what they're doing is normal. You see this with friend groups all the time. You have a friend who you know you can go to have fun and party and blah, blah, blah and do this, and they're never going to judge you. But you also have that friend that's going to tell you the truth. And when you have fun and you want to just not be judged, you go around the friend to go have fun and not be judged. But that person's not going to contribute to you being a better person in the long run. And I've actually dealt with situations like this. I was in high society where I am in the city that I am. And one thing I realized is once you get to a certain level, it's no longer about money because people already have money. So it becomes more about favors and what you can do for other people. If I have all the money in the world, I don't care if you can give me money. I want to know if you're a judge just in case my nephew gets a charge or some type of case and I want it wiped off his record, or I can communicate with you or talk to you because I know you and you could do me a favor to get something done for him. So it's like more of an exchange of favors. And whilst I was in this life and kind of getting ushered into this world of higher upper echelons and me realizing that it was more about an exchange of favors, I realized that there were certain people that can bring you into their groups of networks where you could be highly successful. But the issue is if they don't like you or you don't contribute to what they want you to contribute to, they can kick you out of their network because they're the ones with the power. And so when I was offered the opportunity, I opted out of getting into some of those networks. And it's not to say that there was anything wrong with these people necessarily. It wasn't a situation where you're selling your manhood. But I don't know what the favors that they were going to ask me to do would be if I needed a favor from them. You get what I'm saying? And right now I operate my life with a level of freedom. That is also an intangible thing that is not going to be sold on my watch if I can put myself in a position where I can still earn what I need to earn and still maintain my freedom. So I thought to myself, you make plenty of money. How much money do you need? Is your freedom or somebody having the will to force you to do something against what you want to do, against your own will, worth making more money by getting into these networks of people that can give you opportunities and put you in these places? I didn't think so. So again, that's one of those intangible things. That's one of those intangible things: freedom, peace, integrity, honor. Those intangible things that make us humans are the things that make us human. And if you sell them, you're not a human anymore. You become a product. And it's very hard to look yourself in the mirror when you become a product. Let me know in the comments below if this video is a W or L, and give me the HBO special. That's a Help Brother Out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Also, join the Patreon. There's a link in the pinned comments and in the description below. Till next time.